In my previous life, I caught my older brother and younger sister in an illicit affair and forced them to part ways. Later, my older brother became a general stationed at the frontier, while my younger sister married the second prince, and they swore never to see each other again. Meanwhile, I poured my heart and soul into elevating the Jiang family to the ranks of the nobility. After my rebirth, I discovered that my older brother and younger sister had returned before me. Not only did they steal my credit and manipulate the Jiang family, but they also tried to poison me with a love potion, intending to make me lose my virtue in a Buddhist monastery. But they didn't know that not only did I sleep with the crown prince to counteract the poison, but I could also destroy them beyond redemption. When I woke up, my body was burning with unbearable heat, and my mind was a blur. After biting my tongue hard to clear my head, a flood of unfamiliar memories surged into my mind. I recalled how my eldest brother and youngest sister had suddenly become capable and shrewd 3 months ago. I recalled the baffling changes in the Jiang family over the past 3 months. I recalled how they had smiled as they sent me to the 1000 Buddha temple to fulfill a vow. What on earth was going on? My eldest brother and youngest sister had clearly been separated for a long time, and I had long since elevated the Jiang family to the ranks of the elite. As a sense of foreboding washed over me, an unbearable heat spread throughout my body. I almost moaned out loud, but managed to stifle it. I rolled off the bed, found a sharp object, and slashed it viciously across my arm. The stinging pain brought me even further to my senses. I checked my pulse and discovered I had been poisoned with an extremely vicious aphrodisiac bone-eating incense. My memories grew clearer, and the pieces of the truth quickly fell into place. I finally understood what had happened. I had been reborn, but my older brother and younger sister had also been reborn. And tonight, they intended to kill me. I had originally come to the 1000 Buddha temple on South Mountain today to fulfill a vow. The 3 of us siblings from the Jiang family had been separated since childhood. My older brother and younger sister had traveled far and wide with our parents, while I, due to poor health, had always remained with my grandparents in the capital. 3 years ago, grandfather passed away. My parents took my older brother and younger sister back to the capital, but later left them there while they set out on another journey. Although I was overjoyed to be reunited with my siblings, my older brother and younger sister hadn't grown up in the capital. They were unversed in literature and etiquette, and their straightforward, reckless nature meant my grandmother and I often had to clean up the messes they made. 3 months ago, however, the 2 of them seemed to have suddenly come to their senses. Jiang Chanlan stopped idling away his time and began devoting himself wholeheartedly to honing his martial arts. Jiang Wanshu, meanwhile, wanted to learn the art of managing the household from me and running the shop. And in a very short time, she achieved quite a bit. My grandmother and I were overjoyed, thinking that the burden of the Jiang family could finally be shouldered by the 3 of us siblings together. But I never expected that they were clearly harboring sinister intentions. This so-called fulfilling a vow by sending me to the 1000 Buddha temple on South Mountain was clearly a trap set for me in secret. I've always been frail and studied medicine from a young age, so I know this poison is incredibly vicious. If it isn't neutralized in time, it will damage my very bones and marrow. Moreover, if I'm not mistaken, my eldest brother and youngest sister must have arranged a surprise for me at the 1000 Buddha temple tonight, waiting only for tomorrow morning to come and take me home so they can destroy my reputation in an instant. I dressed quickly, rolled out of bed, and heard what sounded like footsteps outside. My eyes narrowed with resolve. Without a moment's hesitation, I slipped quietly out the window. I relied on the faint moonlight to find my way to my destination, a somewhat abandoned meditation hall at the 1000 Buddha temple, place that was gloomy, deserted, secluded, and hidden. Just as I climbed into a room to wait out the aphrodisiac's effects, I heard a man's furious shout. "Who's there?" I jumped in surprise. How could there be anyone here? I turned to leave, but the drug's effects kicked in again. My head spun, my legs went weak, and I couldn't move. In my mind, I tortured Jiang Chanlan and Jiang Wanshu 1,000 times over. "Get out! The man was still bellowing, but I could tell something was off about his voice. I crept cautiously to the far end of the room. Someone lay on the bed. Without a lamp or candle, I couldn't make out his face. But that didn't stop me from taking his pulse. Startled by my movement, the man reached out to choke me, but I rolled over and pinned him down. You've been poisoned, it's bone-eating incense. If you don't get rid of it tonight, your chances of survival are slim. I spoke in a low voice. He tried to struggle but had no strength left. His voice was hoarse with rage, dark and menacing. If you don't get out of here, I'll make sure you die a miserable death. I patted his face and, suppressing my own discomfort, explained to him, stop struggling, it's a waste of energy. Listen to me. We've both been poisoned by the same toxin. Take my advice. We're strangers who've crossed paths tonight. Let's help each other out, then part ways amicably and go after our respective enemies. Wouldn't that be better? You wouldn't want to die like this, would you? My cheeks grew hotter by the second. I knew I couldn't hold out much longer, so I stopped wasting words on him and started tearing at his clothes. The man beneath me had tried to pin me down, but his poison had taken a deeper hold than mine, and he couldn't overpower me. Slowly, he, too, lost his senses and succumbed to the poison. I don't know how much time passed, but by the time the poison had mostly worn off, I picked up my clothes and prepared to leave. The man, however, was still dazed and tried to cling to me again. I kicked him away with a single blow. With a thud, he seemed to hit the bed, emitting a muffled sound. As I climbed out the window, I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I walked away without looking back. If I happened to catch a clear glimpse of his face and discovered he was ugly, it would only bring me unnecessary distress. Early the next morning, Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu arrived at Qinfu Temple with great fanfare, claiming they had come to take the second young lady home. But after searching every corner of the Thousand Buddha Temple, they found no trace of Menet. Even my personal maid, Yunbin, was there. The abbot was at a loss. This monk only knows that second young Miss Jiang returned to her quarters yesterday afternoon. Where she has gone now, I truly have no idea. And when they finally found me after great effort, I was playing chess with the abbess at the Water Moon Hermitage halfway up South Mountain. Sure. You actually here? Jiang Changlin could not hide the astonishment on his face. Jiang Wanshu tugged discreetly at his sleeve, stepped forward, and spoke with concern. Second sister. Weren't you at the Thousand Buddha Temple fulfilling a vow? Elder brother and I came all this way to take you back to the manor, but the abbot said you were Miss Sinjit gave us quite a scare. I even thought. I interrupted her coldly. What are you saying, little sister? What could possibly happen to me? I was bored yesterday afternoon, so I brought Yunbin here to play chess with Abbess Qingning. I rubbed my eyes as if I were tired, then lazily pointed at the candlestick. The candle inside had burned out, leaving a thick layer of wax residue. I didn't realize we'd played all night. Never mind. Since you've come to fetch me, I'll be heading back now. My maid, Yunbin, entered just then with a tray of tea. Her eyes ringed with faint dark circles. Let's go, Yunbin. I'm sorry you've been up all night too. Abbess Qingning, I'll come visit another day. Jiang Wanshu and Jiang Changlin both looked displeased, but they had no choice but to swallow their anger and leave with me. Before we left, Abbess Qingning gave me a subtle nod with a faint smile. I smiled back but said nothing. Last night, as soon as my poison was neutralized, I hurried to wake my maid and, under cover of darkness, brought her to the Water Moon Hermitage halfway up the mountain. Before entering Shuiyuan, Abbess Qingning had been a close friend of my grandmother's and an elder who had watched me grow up. After some clever maneuvering, I finally managed to deceive Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu. My back still ached, but I dared not let my guard down for a moment, since the two of them had already dared to set a trap for me at Qinfu Temple. I knew the schemes and intrigues awaiting me back at the Jiang household would only multiply. Thinking of my grandmother and my other personal maid who had stayed behind at home, my heart sank. Jiang Changlong and Jiang Wanshu followed me all the way back to my courtyard. Clinging to me like flies I couldn't shake off. I let out a faint, cold smile, though my tone remained gentle. I was only gone for one night, and nothing happened. Why are you so worried about me? I smiled as I touched Jiang Wanshu's forehead and noticed a hairpin in her hair, one I rarely used from my lacquered hairpin box. I pretended not to see it. Jiang Wanshu sighed in relief and affectionately linked her arm through mine. Of course I missed you. Second sister, Anne. By the time she finished speaking, we had reached the gate of my courtyard. I noticed one of the maids standing guard was missing, and a chill ran down my spine. Last night, just as I was about to sleep, a maid from your courtyard suddenly came to summon me. She said Shen Yu had suddenly developed a high fever and fainted, completely unconscious. By the time I found a physician, Shen Yu was already breathing shallowly. She was carried away this morning. The maid standing at the gate nodded at me, her eyes brimming with tears. I asked Jiang Wanshu, where is Shen Yu buried? Did the physician say what illness she had? My eyes burned with intensity, and I was on the verge of tears. But Jiang Wanshu spoke calmly. The physician couldn't determine the cause. He suspected Shen contracted the plague. We were worried that if it really was the plague, it might infect the entire estate. So we had her carried away and cremated. As for where she's buried, you know, sister, Shen Yu had no parents. She was sold to the Jiang household by a slave trader when she was just 5. Now there's no family left to bury her. So we had no choice but to scatter her ashes on the common graveyard. I lost my balance and stumbled. Yunbin rushed over, crying, to steady me, miss. Jiang Wanshu also reached out to support me, but I pulled away from her hand and leaned against Yunbin. Leave me alone for a moment, Yunbin. Let's go back. After Jiang Wanshu and Jiang Changlong had left, Yunbin helped me into the room. When the other maids tried to follow, I angrily waved them away. Get out. I don't want to see anyone. Once they had withdrawn, the look of utter despair vanished from my face. I clasped Yunbin's hand tightly and said through gritted teeth, Yunbin, Shen Yu couldn't have died of illness. She entered the estate with you. All these years. She's even trained in martial arts. It's impossible for her to have suddenly fallen gravely ill. Yunbin embraced me, tears streaming down her face. Miss. I know. Don't worry. We need to think this through carefully. I pulled away and surveyed my room. Though the furnishings were arranged just as they had been before I left, I could detect subtle differences. My room had been searched as well. They really didn't hold back. Shen Yu might not be dead. Knowing Jiang Wanshu as I do, she would never let Shen Yu die so easily. After all, at this point in my previous life, I hadn't yet discovered the sordid relationship between my eldest brother and my youngest sister. It was Shen Yu who later noticed something was amiss between them and told me about it. They must hate Shen Yu with a passion. Miss, what should we do next? Go to the stables now and ask about Ling Feng. Tell him I've sent him to the graveyard of the Forsaken to offer incense for Shen Yu. In my previous life, I was able to elevate the Jiang family to the ranks of the elite. So naturally, I had my share of helpers. Ling Feng was purchased by the estate a year ago. He's exceptionally skilled. He usually likes to stay in the stables tending to the horses. And whenever I need to investigate something discreetly, I secretly instruct him. After the Jiang family prospered in my previous life, many people resented me. So Ling Feng became my secret guard, me most capable assistant. However, I can't help but feel a bit worried. Since Jiang Changlong and Jiang Wanshu have already targeted Shen Yu, Ling Feng might not escape unscathed either. If that happens, my situation will truly become dire. By the time Yunbin returned, the kitchen had already sent my evening meal. I looked at the assortment of dishes on the table. Though I was very hungry, I said to the person who brought them, I'm not in the mood to eat. Take it back. These days, I no longer dared to fully trust the food in the mansion. Yunbin nodded at me and helped me back to the inner chambers. How is the situation? Ling Feng. Yunbin shook her head. Miss. The stable hand said Ling Feng left the estate early yesterday morning and hasn't returned since. My heart sank. And I felt physically and mentally exhausted. Yunbin looked deeply distressed. Miss. Please don't lose heart. You are all I have left now. I'll sneak into the kitchen and get something to eat first. I rubbed my temples. I won't lose heart. If I do, there'll be no one left to avenge them. I took Yunbin's hand. Don't go to the kitchen either, we don't want to tip them off. There's a tangerine tree in our courtyard. When night falls, we'll sneak out and pick some tangerines. Wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow. Things will surely take a turn for the better. Early the next morning, Jiang Wanshu came to see me. She couldn't hide the smile on her face. Yet she still tried to look concerned. I heard you didn't eat a single thing all day yesterday. How can that be? Don't worry yourself sick over a mere maid. Grandmother would worry if she found out. I forced a smile, feigning exhaustion. I haven't visited grandmother since I returned. How has she been lately? Jiang Wanshu grew even more smug, adopting a high-pitched tone. Grandmother is the same as always. Her appetite isn't good once summer sets in. I'm truly worried about her health. My hands clenched into fists beneath my sleeves. Though my face remained impassive, she pressed her advantage further, bringing me a plate of grapes. Sister, I brought you some food especially. Please, have some. I stared coldly at the plate of grapes, while Jiang Wanshu beamed with a smile. Yunbin had gone out as ID instructed and wasn't by my side. I was completely on my own now. Jiang Wanshu was determined to make me eat those grapes today. But just then, the steward rushed in. He glanced at me, then at Jiang Wanshu. Then, looking somewhat flustered, he spoke. Second young lady, the crown princess has personally sent you a summons. She requests your immediate presence at the princess residence. My expression remained unchanged, though inwardly I wondered why Yunbin hadn't returned with him. Jiang Wanshu's face twisted with surprise, unable to maintain her composure. She shot me a vicious glare before hastily regaining her composure when I looked her way. Second sister. When did you ever cross Her Highness the Crown Princess? The Crown Princess is, after all. How dare you? Do you intend to speak ill of the Crown Princess here? I rebuked her, and Jiang Wanshu fell silent immediately. The most powerful women in the capital, aside from the Empress, were the Crown Princess. The current emperor was the Crown Prince's younger brother, and the two shared a deep bond. Every action taken by the Crown Princess could be said to have the emperor's tacit approval. In my previous life, after Jiang Wanshu became the second prince's consort, she feared the Crown Princess most of all. It wasn't until the second prince took her away from the capital that things improved somewhat. Besides, the position of second prince's consort, she wasn't even supposed to have gotten it in the first place. I lowered my gaze, paid no further attention to the people in the room, and left directly to pay my respects to the Crown Princess. When I arrived at the princess residence, Yunbin was already inside. Upon seeing me, she hesitated as if she wanted to say something. What is it? Yunbin spoke up. When I arrived, the invitation from the eldest princess had already been delivered to the Jiang residence. So, the eldest princess truly had business with might. Wasn't that I had sent Yunbin to ask for her help. This, in turn, left me somewhat baffled. Why would the eldest princess suddenly seek me out? The eldest princess and I could be described as friends across generations. She is now 45. When I was a child, my grandparents took me to a palace banquet. She had just gotten married at the time and took an immediate liking to me. The court was a treacherous place. Before my grandfather retired to the countryside, he held military power and dared not let me associate with the crown princess openly. After my grandfather passed away, my parents, who had been traveling, suddenly vanished without a trace. Not long after, only the three of us children were left. My eldest brother and youngest sister had their own issues. They were hopeless cases. The Jiang family was slowly falling into decline. To save the family, I not only helped the Song family who had come to the capital to trade become imperial merchants, but also managed to send the Jiang family's children to the White Deer Academy, secured an official post for my eldest brother, and studied medical texts extensively, accompanying the crown princess to disaster zones to treat epidemics. Only then did the Jiang family get back on track. But Jiang Wanshu and Jiang Chanlan knew none of this. They simply thought I was lucky that I had accidentally supported the Song family, who later became imperial merchants, and accidentally won the crown prince's favor. But how could there be so many good things in the world? When I navigated the circles of the powerful, people mocked me, but they couldn't hear it. When I burned the midnight oil studying medicine to treat the plague and damaged my eyes, they couldn't see it. So even though I was reborn later than them, I wasn't worried that Jiang Wanshu and Jiang Chanlan could outdo me. You sure has arrived. Come in quickly. The crown princess warmly welcomed me inside. Once we were seated, she took my hand with concern. What has happened to the Jiang family? I was taken aback. Before I could say anything, the crown princess beckoned to the matron, who then brought two people in. Xian Yu, Ling Feng. I gasped in surprise. I saw that both of them bore scars, but they seemed to be in decent condition. Xian Yu rushed to my side, her eyes brimming with tears. Miss, I was truly terrified after you and Yunbin went to the Thousand Buddha Temple that day. Miss Wanshu kept ordering me to work in her courtyard and even had me stay for dinner. I thought it was a bit strange, but I didn't think much of it. After I returned, I felt drowsy and disoriented the whole time. When I finally woke up, Ling Feng and I were both tied up in a brothel. Fortunately, I saw the madam wearing the princess house identification badge and called for help in time, so we weren't. Xian Yu, I choked up and couldn't continue. Ling Feng, who was always a man of few words, simply nodded in agreement. I felt a surge of indignation coursing through my veins. The crown princess gently touched my forehead. Don't worry. It's a relief that you're back. The madam said a human trafficker sold them there, but by the time they went to look for him, he had vanished. Yuesher, what has happened at the Jiang residence? Even your personal maid was ambushed at it. Had me so worried about you. Tell me everything slowly. I will see that justice is served. I looked into the grand princess' eyes, and a wave of sorrow welled up within me. But the story of my rebirth was too bizarre to reveal in full. I could only tell her that I had discovered the secret affair between my older brother and younger sister, which is why they tried to poison me. However, I saw through their plot. They couldn't harm Medhoff. They were quite a nuisance. Your Highness, Yuesher needs your help. I laid out my plan in detail, after discussing it with the crown princess. We finalized our strategy. I was about to take my leave when the crown princess brought up another matter. It's a good thing you arrived at Shueiyue Temple early and avoided those two little vixens' trap. But who would have thought that my nephew was also ambushed at Qianfu Temple? I paused. The crown prince's nephew. Isn't that the current crown prince? Xiao Duo. He's a ruthless figure whom no one dares to approach. I've heard that since childhood. He's accompanied His Majesty on campaigns, so he takes pleasure in killing, is violent and unpredictable, and even keeps vicious wolves in the mountains behind the crown prince's mansion. He's intimidated countless ministers, and who knows how many people he's fed to the wolves. I recall that at this time in my previous life, Xiao Duo was clearly injured and recuperating outside the capital. How is it that in this life, he's returned to the capital looking so full of vigor? My heart skipped a beat for no apparent reason. The grand princess slammed her fist down on the rosewood tabletop with a loud smack, drawing everyone's attention. I wonder which audacious woman dared to take advantage of my nephew's vulnerability while he was under the influence of a love potion to defile his honor. You sure? You were at the Thousand Buddha Temple that day. Did you see anyone suspicious? A cold sweat instantly broke out on my back. I nearly spilled the tea I was holding, and in my panic, I couldn't even catch my breath. a love potion at the Thousand Buddha Temple. Taking advantage of someone's vulnerability wasn't that me. Damn it. How could I have forgotten? It seems something like this did indeed happen in my past life. When Xiao Duo returned to the capital, he was ambushed at the Thousand Buddha Temple. At the time, ID only heard that had been injured, and since the mastermind was later captured, torn apart by 5 horses, and fed to the wolves, I hadn't given it a second thought. But now it seems I've slept with Xiao Duo, who should have had his very bones corroded by the bone-eating incense, though I did help him counteract the poison. I feel that if he were to catch me, my fate would be no better than being fed to the wolves. I exhaled slowly, feigning surprise and disgust. How could such a thing have happened to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? If that woman is caught, what should be done? The Grand Princess replied with unwavering resolve. She must be killed and fed to the wolves, then her bones crushed and scattered to the winds. My heart pounded with fear. I swallowed hard and forced a nervous laugh. I went to Water Moon Hermitage that afternoon. As for whether there were any suspicious people at Thousand Buddha Temple, I was about to distance myself from the matter, but the Grand Princess waved her hand dismissively and cut me off. I've been so foolish. You told me. But since I wasn't there, I don't know the details. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, she continued, Duer happens to be at my residence. You should speak to him face to face. My vision nearly went dark, and Yunbin, standing beside me, held her breath in nervous anticipation. Before long, a group of people arrived at the main hall. The leader had hair as sharp as a razor's edge and eyes as bright as stars. A figure of striking beauty, yet his entire being exuded a cold, forbidding aura that warned all to keep their distance. It was none other than Xiao Duo, and his guard was leading a sleek, menacing wolf. What does my aunt wish to see me about? He strode into the main hall as if no one else were there. Seemingly oblivious to my presence, he found a seat and sat down with remarkable nonchalance. Only, it happened to be directly across from me. Beating with cold sweat, I started to rise to pay my respects, but the Grand Princess stopped me and frowned at Xiao Duo. You sure? There's no need for such formalities. Just sit down, Duoer. Why have you brought that stinking wolf out again? Xiao Duo fiddled with the teapot, looking completely unconcerned. It's hungry. Find it something to eat. I recalled the rumors that Xiao Duo fed his wolf human flesh. My heart racing, I brushed the strands of hair from my forehead and stole a glance at the wolf. When I snapped back to reality, I found Xiao Duo staring intently at my wrist. I didn't quite understand why, so I could only lower my eyes in silence. The Crown Princess seemed too lazy to pay him any mind. She pursed her lips. All right. I summoned Yuesher here today. She's been a clever child since she was little. She was at the Thousand Buddha Temple that day too. Ask her, she might just be able to find you some clues. I forced a smile. Your Highness, I can do more than just find him clues. I am the culprit myself. Xiao Duo smiled upon hearing the princess' words. But to me, his smile felt icy. He raised his eyes to look at me and asked, Then tell me about it. I took a sip of tea, composed myself, and spoke slowly. That day, this humble servant went to the Thousand Buddha Temple to fulfill a vow. In the afternoon, feeling bored, I took my maid to the Water Moon Hermitage halfway up the mountain. As for suspicious individuals, I did not notice any. However, since the thief dared to ambush the Crown Prince at the Thousand Buddha Temple, he must be quite familiar with the area. Your Highness might wish to start by questioning the pilgrims at the Thousand Buddha Temple. Xiao Duo's lips curved into a faint smile. Is that so? Do you think there are any suspicious individuals at the Water Moon Hermitage? Miss Jiang, that thief has vanished without a trace since that night. Perhaps he's hiding there. My eyelid twitched violently. Your Highness is correct. He fixed his gaze on me for a moment, then gave a soft chuckle and turned to the Grand Princess. Aunt, there is no need for you to worry. I have my own plans for this matter. There is no need to trouble Miss Jiang. The Grand Princess nodded and asked no further questions. Xiao Duo rose to leave, taking with him that vicious wolf who had filled me with dread. I breathed a slight sigh of relief and rose to take my leave. Your Highness, my grandmother is waiting for me at home, so I shall be going now. I returned to the manor accompanied by the matron bestowed upon me by the Crown Princess. Jiang Wanshu was waiting for me at the gate. Upon seeing the matron, she nearly ground her silver teeth to dust. Who is this? The Crown Princess heard that grandmother is unwell. Out of consideration for our past ties, she has specially sent matron Jang to stay at the manor for a while. You must treat her with the utmost respect. Nanny Jang pursed her lips, her expression haughty, and said nothing, ignoring Jiang Wanshu's sour expression. I led Nanny Jang to grandmother's quarters. With Nanny Jang living here with grandmother and me, Jiang Wanshu won't dare tamper with the food anymore. Thank you for your help, Nanny. I thanked her, and Aunt Jing gave me a warm smile. You're too kind, young lady. After paying our respects to grandmother, I breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu hadn't dared to poison grandmother yet. They'd only been treating her harshly with her meals, serving things she didn't like. I told grandmother about everything that had happened these past few days, as well as the secret affair between Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu. Grandmother, please don't worry. I will never let them harm you. Grandmother was silent for a moment, then stroked the top of my head and sighed deeply. I never imagined Changlin and Wanshu would do such a thing now that your grandfather is gone. I have less and less energy to manage the household. Sure, my dear child. The Jiang family will depend on you from now on. Grandmother's words implied her tacit approval for me to clean house. After helping her settle in for the night, I returned to my own courtyard to discuss matters with Yunbin. Xian Yu and the others have been placed in other residences by the Crown Princess. As for what comes next, we just need to get a few good nights' sleep and wait for news from Lingfeng. Yunbin and I spent several peaceful days together. Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu seemed to be plotting something. They didn't even have the energy to come after me. And so, living a carefree life, I received a summons from the Crown Prince's mansion one morning, along with a message from Ling Feng. Jiang Changlin has recently been frequenting taverns with members of the Song family from outside the capital, and Jiang Wanshu has sold off quite a few of her own fields and shops. I took a sip of tea and set the message Ling Feng had brought to me ablaze in the candlelight. Just as I expected, they intend to prop up the Song family as imperial merchants. At this very moment in my previous life, I happened to come into contact with the Song family. They wanted to do business in the capital but lacked connections. Seeing their potential, I stepped in to help. Not long after, the Song family took first place in the capital's triennial winemaking competition, winning the favor of high-ranking officials and nobles. They opened up the capital's market and, from then on, rose rapidly to become imperial merchants. And with the Song family backing me, I was the envy of countless people. In this life, Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu want to beat me to the punch and secure the Song family for themselves. Miss, should we go court the Song family as well? Yunbin asked. I shook my head and smiled softly. No. Let them go ahead and support the Song family if they wish. We don't need to compete with them. Jiang Changlin and Jiang Wanshu truly believe the Song family is a prize worth fighting over. In my previous life, one was stationed at the frontier while the other accompanied the second prince out of the capital. They had no idea how much effort I expended to keep the Song family, who had grown arrogant after becoming imperial merchants, in check. Though the Song family was vast and powerful, not just anyone could become an imperial merchant. Behind the Song family stood my support and the recognition of the Crown Princess. But the Song family was restless and arrogant, unaware of their own limitations. Later, they began to pay lip service to me while acting contrary behind my back. Not to mention, during a subsequent winemaking competition, they were even defeated by the obscure Lu family. It was from that point on that I gradually took notice of the Lu family. I discovered that during the first great winemaking competition, the Lu family had originally intended to compete head-to-head with the Song family. However, Lu Jinglin, the head of the Lu family, had inadvertently offended a powerful figure in the capital at a banquet and was detained by the authorities. The Lu family exhausted every effort to rescue their patriarch, ultimately missing the competition and being forced to leave the capital in disgrace. In my previous life, before I was reborn, I had already begun helping the Lu family gain a foothold in the capital. Unfortunately, I hadn't managed to topple the Song family before I returned to this present moment. In this life, I will not choose the Song family again. Instead, I intend to support the Lu family from the very beginning. I understand Lu Jinglin's character and know that the Lu family is more suited for the position of imperial merchant than the Song family. After all, in my previous life, Lu Jinglin was originally meant to marry into my Jang family and live with me in harmony. I've made my decision regarding the Song family, but the invitation sent from the Crown Prince's mansion has left me restless. Yun Bin, tell Mui, did the Crown Prince suddenly send me an invitation? Should I go or not? In my previous life, there was a similar banquet at the Crown Prince's mansion, but the Jiang family never received an invitation. But this time I'm a bit hesitant to go. But His Highness the Crown Prince has already sent you an invitation. If you don't go. Both Yun Bin and I recalled the ferocious wolf-like figure by Xiao Duo's side that day. I sighed. Enough said. Well. I go. Yun Bin. Have Lingfeng find out where the Lu family is staying in the capital. Well, pay them a visit in the next few days. The banquet had been underway for quite some time, and nothing had happened. I felt I must have overthought it. Perhaps Crown Prince Xiao Duo had simply recognized me that day at the Grand Prince's residence and sent me an invitation on a whim. I mingled with the noble ladies beside me, chatting and laughing, when suddenly I spotted a familiar figure not far away. He rose from the crowd, as if to step outside for some fresh air. I hesitated for a few seconds, then whispered a few words to Yun Bin before making up an excuse to follow him alone. I never expected to run into Lu Jinglin at the banquet, so he had actually arrived in the capital this early. Then why did he miss the winemaking competition? Which powerful figure had he offended? Exactly. I followed Lu Jinglin all the way to Mirror Heart Lake in the Crown Prince's mansion. The lake's shores were overgrown with tall, lush water plants, and the water rippled gently. Lu Jinglin stopped before a large stone stele by the lake and began to study the inscription intently. I stood a short distance away, watching him quietly, a faint smile playing on my lips. He was exactly the same as he had been in my previous life, always pausing to admire such things. In my previous life, I didn't harbor any romantic feelings for him. I simply admired his upright and humble character, possessed the refined grace of jade and the dignified poise of autumn frost, which made him a favorite of my grandmother. Furthermore, since Lu Jinglin had fallen for me at first sight, and I had yet to marry, I also wished to support the Lu family in their rivalry against the Song family. Thus, we came to a mutual agreement to have him marry into the Jiang family. Life is as fleeting as a passing cloud. In this life, after all these twists and turns, I've actually met Lu Jinglin several years earlier than I did before. I watched for a while, then prepared to leave, intending to find a proper time later to pay my respects to the Lu family. But just as I turned away, I heard a woman's desperate cries for help coming from the lakeside. I saw it, and naturally, Lu Jinglin saw it too. A man dressed in luxurious brocade was dragging a petite young girl, forcing her down into the grass by the lake with the intent to assault her. Let's see how you escape today, he sneered, slapping her again, causing the girl to wail even more pitifully. Lu Jinglin frowned, about to step out from behind the stone stele to intervene. I hurried forward, grabbed his wrist, and pulled him back behind the stone stele, my voice stern. If you rush out like that, do you know who that man is? Lu Jinglin was caught off guard by my sudden action and stared at me in bewilderment. I don't know, I sighed. That man in brocade robes is the fifth prince, like the second prince. He was born to a noble woman of the current court. He's a notorious playboy in the capital, a beast everyone avoids at all costs. As for that young lady, she is Cheni, the the second daughter of the Shen family's legitimate line. Her mother died young, and her father favors his concubines. She has only one older sister, so she has no one to stand up for her in the capital. That's why she was humiliated by the fifth prince today. I looked Lu Jinglin in the eye and asked him, "Are you a member of the imperial family? Or the son of a prominent clan? Do you really think you can provoke the fifth prince? Or do you believe that by helping Miss Cheni, she'll be able to save you when the fifth prince comes after you in the future? How do you know that if you go out now, you won't be falsely accused of defiling Miss Cheni? When that happens, will the people believe you, or will they believe the fifth prince?" Lu Jinglin looked somewhat embarrassed by my words. After a labored breath, he spoke. "I am indeed just a commoner." Seeing him like this, I felt a pang of sympathy. He was usually upright and principled. Naturally, he couldn't tolerate such things. But I suspect that in a past life, he must have offended the fifth prince in just this way, nearly landing himself in prison. The Lu Jinglin of today is still a bit naive and reckless. He doesn't understand how treacherous the waters of the capital can be. Young master, there's no need to belittle yourself. Since you've been invited to the crown prince's mansion, you must have something special about you. All right, go back to your seat. If you don't, hide yourself away and don't come out, lest you drag me down with you. I released his wrist, noticing a faint red mark where I'd gripped it, and his ears were already crimson. I picked up a stone without haste and hurled it forcefully into the lake, intending to scare that shameless fifth prince. I missed. The fifth prince roared. Who threw that?" Lu Jinglin tried to move, but I glared at him. I smoothed out my clothes and stepped out from behind the stone stele, looking down at the fifth prince from above. This humble maiden, Jiang Yuesher, inadvertently heard someone screaming by the lake but saw no one, thinking it might be a ghost. I was frightened and threw a stone. "I never expected to disturb your highness." The fifth prince shielded Cheni with his body, his expression darkening. "Since you know you've disturbed us, get out of here. You have some nerve." Just as he spoke, Cheni strained to peek out from behind him, her eyes glistening with tears as she silently pleaded for my help. I walked down step by step, staring straight at the fifth prince. If I'm not mistaken, the young lady behind His Highness the fifth prince is Miss Shen, isn't she? Ha. So what if she is? I shook my head. It's nothing. But has His Highness forgotten that Miss Shen's elder sister, Qin Qingshan, is betrothed to your own elder brother, His Highness the second prince? Are you trying to publicly humiliate the second prince and the Shen family with your actions today? I snatched Cheni away and pulled her behind me. I implore your highness to reconsider. Seeing that I truly intended to meddle, the fifth prince's veins bulged. He pointed his finger at my nose and raged, his words dripping with malice. Jiang Yuesher, who do you think you are, daring to question me? Have you forgotten my status? Or is it that you lowly slut, want to join her in serving me? As he spoke, he reached out to grab me. I snatched up a stick and struck him hard, forcing him back. Watch your tongue, fifth prince. My grandfather was grand tutor under two reigns, and the whip bestowed by His Majesty to punish adulterers is still enshrined in the Jiang household. If you dare to commit any indecency here, I will certainly bring this matter before His Majesty. By then, do you think you'll be able to escape so easily? The fifth prince was left in a sorry state from my blow, which only made him angrier. Just as I was about to use the hidden weapon Ling Feng had made for me, I suddenly heard a piercing wolf's howl. The fifth prince immediately looked around like a startled bird. Elder brother. From the bamboo grove by the lake, several men emerged, each leading a wolf. Xiao Duo wasn't among them, but they were all his personal attendants, the same ones I'd seen at the Grand Princess residence that day. Miss Yuesher, fifth prince, what's going on here? The head steward, leading the group, smiled warmly at us. The fifth prince's face turned pale. Every time a wolf took a step forward, he took a step back. It seemed Xiao Duo had likely set a wolf on him before. What could possibly be going on? It's just a chance encounter. Two must return to the banquet. He hurried away, unwilling to spare even a single glance. I nodded in agreement, preparing to leave with Cheni. I wasn't afraid of the fifth prince's retaliation. After all, I had the support of the eldest princess. But just then, the elderly steward called out to me, "Miss Yuesher, please wait. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince requests your presence." Shen's eyes widened. She tugged at my sleeve anxiously, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. "Sister Yuesher." The old steward remained all smiles. "I will send someone to escort Miss Shen back. Please, Miss Yuesher, come with this old servant at once. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is not one to wait." I followed the head steward down a secluded path, growing increasingly uneasy with every step. Whenever he asked me questions, I could only force a smile. I wanted to run away. But that vicious wolf kept nuzzling at the hem of my skirt, making me too afraid to make a move. When we reached the entrance to a courtyard, the old steward spoke. "Please wait here for a moment, miss. I shall take my leave first." He led the wolf away. I stood at the courtyard gate, waiting nervously for a while, but no one appeared. Could this be Xiao Duo's way of toying with me? After much deliberation, I decided to return to the banquet first. With so many people around, he wouldn't dare do anything to me. Just as I lifted my foot to head back the way I came, I heard the wolf howl again and froze on the spot. Could he have released the wolf here to attack me? Would he really dare to do such a thing? He knows full well that I have a close relationship with the crown princess, but in both my past and present memories, Xiao Duo has always been a brutal and capricious man. It's hard to say whether he would actually dare. I looked around and decided to push open the courtyard gate, intending to hide inside the house. Before leaving the banquet, I had told Yunbin that if I didn't return for a long time, she should inform the crown princess. After all, the crown princess was also supposed to attend this banquet. Pushing open the door, I saw a thick white mist swirling inside. The temperature was quite high, and visibility was poor. I could only vaguely make out several tubs filled with water heavy with flower petals. Is this a bathhouse? I bumped into a clothes rack and saw a black robe hanging there, which startled me. No, I can't stay here long. I headed straight for the door without hesitation, but a hand grabbed my ankle and yanked me into the pool. I'm not a strong swimmer, so I started flailing about. Someone pulled me out of the water, pressed me against the pool wall, and said slowly, "What are you flailing about for? The pool isn't even deep. I told you to wait outside. Why did you run in here? You really are something. You're audacious every single time." He gave a snort of laughter. I was busy holding onto him to steady myself when my hand brushed against his skin. It was scorching hot. I jerked my hand back as if burned and closed my eyes, unable to look. "Your Highness, the Crown Prince, this humble servant knows she has erred. Ill leave at once. I beg your Highness for mercy." Xiao Duo smoothed my disheveled hair and spoke casually. "You're only afraid now. Back at the Thousand Buddha Temple, when you were groping me all over, weren't you quite bold then?" It felt as though the blood from every vein in my body was rushing to my head, and alarm bells rang loudly in my mind. How could that be? "Your Highness is like the bright moon to be admired only from afar. I have always held you in the highest regard. What you're saying I truly don't understand." "You don't understand." Xiao Duo pinched my cheek with one hand, pulling me into his embrace, his voice brimming with unhidden mockery. "I've discovered that only 2 people in the capital have purchased bone-eating incense from the black market recently. The Assistant Minister of Works, and your elder brother, Jiang Chang'an. The woman who bullied me that day claimed she'd also been affected by the bone-eating incense. How do you explain this?" My heart sank, and I retorted in a faint, threadbare voice, "What? Jiang Chang'an actually dared to plot against your Highness. I implore your Highness to have him thrown into the celestial prison at once." The Jiang family has no such disgraceful offspring. Xiao Duo fell silent for a moment, staring at me. You're quite the tough talker. After all, this is something I've never done. I spoke weakly, but then couldn't go on, closing my eyes and steeled my resolve. I waited for his judgment. Xiao Duo looked at me and burst into laughter. Laughing for a long time before stopping, he gripped my wrist. Those who offend me either end up dismembered or fed to the wolves in any case. They don't die a good death. I trembled slightly, not daring to open my eyes. The next second, I felt his finger press against my lips. But I've realized I don't want you to die. I'm willing to give you a chance to atone. After soaking in the bath for so long, I was soaked through and too exhausted to speak. Xiao Duo summoned a maid to bring me fresh clothes. Then had someone wring out my long hair. Just as we were ready to leave the courtyard, the gate was pushed open before we could step out. It was Her Highness the Crown Princess, looking furious, accompanied by Yunbin, with the old steward following behind, drenched in sweat. Me. Oh no. I'd completely forgotten about this. The Crown Princess' gaze shifted from me to Xiao Duo, filled with confusion. Yuesher. Duo-er. What on earth are you two doing here? I immediately spoke up. Your Highness. I stayed at the banquet for too long and wanted to come out for some fresh air. I wasn't paying attention and nearly got lost. But fortunately, I ran into His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Xiao Duo's gaze swept past me, and he gave a snort of approval. Yunbin looked at the clothes I was wearing, different from what I'd worn to the banquet, and dared not say a word. The Crown Princess gasped. I see, but how did getting lost lead to ending up in the same room as Xiao Duo? She suddenly stopped mid-sentence and laughed it off. So that's how it is. I understand. As long as nothing happened, that's all that matters. The Grand Princess surveyed Xiao Duo and me with a smile, her eyes sparkling with amusement. I steeled myself and walked over to Yunbin, who whispered to me, Miss, shall we return to the banquet? No, we're not going back. We're returning to the mansion. The next day, Shen came to the Jiang mansion bearing a gift to thank me. My younger sister was fortunate to have Miss Yushi's help yesterday. I've prepared a small token of my gratitude. Please accept it. Miss Yuesher. Her face was somewhat pale, her eyes cast downward, and she looked frail and ill. I poured her a cup of tea. I can help for a time, but not forever. Miss Shen. To uproot the problem, one must cut it off at the root. Shen gave a bitter smile. Miss Yuesher, I wish I could. But look at me now, I don't know if I'll even make it through this year. I fell silent. As far as I could recall, Shen had indeed died of illness a month before her wedding to the second prince. The second prince had been deeply in love with her, but alas, their fates were not meant to be. After Shen Qingshan's death, the second prince lost his appetite and fell ill from grief. His birth mother, the imperial consort, unwilling to see him so broken, began arranging for him to select another consort. The crown prince had a difficult temperament, whereas the second prince was virtuous and kind-hearted, and many in the court supported him. At the time, countless noble young ladies in the capital were scrambling to be chosen, and Jiang Wanshu knelt before me, begging for my help. I agreed, and she eventually got her wish, but I never expected that after his wedding, the second prince's inner torment would only grow worse. He spent his days fasting and chanting sutras, with no interest in state affairs. Eventually, he simply took Jiang Wanshu and left the capital, traveling far and wide in search of a doctor. All because of his obsession with Shen Qingshan. I paused for a moment, then looked at Shen Qingshan. Miss Shen, I have some knowledge of medicine. May I take your pulse? Having lived 2 lifetimes, I consider myself well-versed in medical texts. Perhaps I have a way to resolve this intractable ailment. Shen Qingshan paused for a moment, then agreed, extending her hand. I took her pulse and shook my head. She didn't seem surprised, only a bit sorrowful. The second prince has taken me to see many doctors, but none could help. I think I cannot be cured. I said nothing, but picked up a brush and wrote out a prescription. Miss Shen, please don't be so hard on yourself. While this illness is indeed difficult to treat, it's not entirely hopeless. First, have the herbs prescribed here prepared. I'll go back and pore over our family's ancient medical texts. I'll do my very best to help you. Though Shen Qingshan had given up hope, she still accepted my kindness and took the prescription. Thank you, Miss Yuesher. No sooner had I seen Shen Qingshan off than Ling Feng arrived with fresh news. The Song family isn't just demanding money from Jiang Changlan and Jiang Wanshu. They've also asked them to help lobby officials in the capital. It's not going very smoothly, though. I smiled. What's going on? They set out to control the Song family, yet now they're being led by the nose by them. The Song family's greed knows no bounds. They've even forced Jiang Wanshu to stop coming to pick a fight with me these past few days. Yun Bin looked worried. But Miss, Jiang Wanshu already has her sights set on your shop. Just yesterday, I saw a maid from her quarters lurking suspiciously near our courtyard. I chased her away. It's fine. If she wants it, let her take it. It's not much. It's best to let her go all out, so she'll learn the pain of chasing a mirage. I'm not worried. The winemaking competition is just a month away, and knowing Lu Jinglin as I do, hell win. I also plan to pay a visit to the Lu family soon and use my influence to give him a boost. After thinking it over, I wrote down the name of a remote frontier town and handed it to Ling Feng. Send someone to the streets there to find a widow named Mianyang. Find a way to invite her to stay in the capital for a while. Well, take care of her food and lodging, since I'm dealing with Jiang Wanshu. I certainly can't forget about Jiang Chang'an. My older brother is not nearly as loyal and steadfast as his little sister imagines him to be. By the time I finished these tasks, night had fallen. I blew out the candles and was just about to lie down on the bed when I discovered someone was already lying there. Who's there? I turned to grab my dagger for self-defense. Xiao Duo spoke lazily. What's this? Are you going back on your word again? Don't you even recognize me? Me. I climbed into bed without a second thought. Your Highness, the Crown Prince. Breaking into the bedchamber of a noblewoman's family in the dead of night. Do you want to be drowned in the spit of the censers tomorrow? He curved his lips, twirling a strand of my hair between his fingers. Whoever dares to file a report, they'll treat them to a meal of wolf meat. I was speechless. You'd really treat someone to wolf meat? I'm afraid it'd be the wolves feasting on human flesh. Xiao Duo turned his body sideways, propping his chin up as he looked at me, a smile in his eyes. You're getting bolder by the day. Last time you were trembling with fear, and today you're already talking back to me. I couldn't be bothered to respond, seeing my silence. Xiao Duo pressed his advantage. I have a headache. I can't sleep. I heard he suffered from headaches, so I casually took his pulse and then half-heartedly massaged his temples. All right. I'll rub them for you. They'll prescribe some medicine tomorrow. When I paid a visit to the Lu family, I received a grand reception. Actually, the Lu family had been sending me invitations for an audience for the past few days, but I hadn't replied. Lu Jinglin had probably given up hope, so he was completely taken aback when I showed up in person. That's why he was overjoyed to see me, his face flushing a faint red all the way down to his neck. Miss Jiang. I skipped the pleasantries and got straight to the point. Lu Jinglin, are you entering the winemaking competition? Lu Jinglin looked a bit surprised, but quickly nodded. Good. I believe the Lu family can take first place, which is why I'm here today. I just want to ask you one thing. Lu Jinglin, do you want to build a career in the capital with your clan? Do you trust me? The barrage of questions left him momentarily speechless, but seeing the earnestness in my eyes, Lu Jinglin understood. He bowed deeply and spoke with solemn resolve. Miss Jiang, I want my clan to find a place to settle and make a name for ourselves in the capital. I want to bring glory to the Lu family. He looked deeply into my eyes. I trust you. I smiled. I knew he was capable of it. The capital is due for a new imperial merchant. Lu Jinglin. I can introduce you to the crown princess and help you build connections in the capital. But the prerequisite for all of this is that you must win first place in the winemaking competition. This will be the Lu family's first step toward establishing themselves in the capital. I carried a jug of wine home. Since I was going to support the Lu family, I naturally had to do my part and I needed to taste the Lu family's wine for myself. Yunbin said that Lingfeng had replied just as I was leaving, saying had found the person and brought them to the capital. I nodded, intending to call it a night and get some proper rest. But after dark, Xiao Duo came to crash on my bed again. I glared at him. Perfect timing. Try this wine. See if there's anything that needs improving. He raised his eyebrows and smiled lightly, his tone laced with danger. You want the crown prince to taste wine for you? I see your highness has nothing better to do day after day. What's wrong with helping me? Xiao Duo cornered me against the bed, his long hair brushing my cheek. How is it that I have nothing to do? If your highness has something to do, why haven't you caught the person who drugged you yet? Instead, you come here every day. He picked up the wine flask, took a sip, then handed it to me, saying casually, I'm in the middle of a game of chess. My opponent hasn't made a move yet. How am I supposed to clear the board? I wrapped my arms around his neck, my voice weary. All right. All right. His Royal Highness has worked hard. Go to bed early. I'm tired. The great winemaking competition was taking place today, and Jiang Wanshu seemed finally ready to prove herself. As I was getting into the carriage, she openly blocked my path. Are you going to watch the competition too? Second sister. What a coincidence, I'm going as well. I looked down at her. Would you like to ride with me? Little sister. Jiang Wanshu gave me a look of disdain but smiled sweetly. Second sister. What I meant was, you can just walk there. She climbed into the carriage, ordered the coachman to set off immediately, her smile as radiant as a flower. I'll be going now. Second sister. I pursed my lips in silence. It's not as if the Jiang household only has one carriage. She's getting cocky before the water has even reached the canal or the channel has been completed. Even in this new life, she's still just as brainless. Yunbin. How can she possibly be so happy? Doesn't she know that Jiang Changlin hasn't spent a single night at the mansion these past few nights? The man I brought back from the frontier wasn't just for show. If Jiang Wanshu could set aside Jiang Changlin and focus solely on taking revenge on me, I might actually look at her with new respect. Yunbin and I took a separate carriage. The great winemaking competition was about to begin. Nobles, dignitaries, and commoners alike had gathered. This triennial event was, naturally, a grand spectacle. Lu Jinglin stood on the stage, calm and composed, while the crowd below was far more anxious, curious to see who would claim the top prize this year. Finally, the judge announced the final result. The Lu family's cold moon wine has won first place. Lu Jinglin's lips curved into a smile as he stood on the stage and glanced in my direction, his eyes brimming with amusement. Meanwhile, I saw the Song family members exchanging bewildered glances. Jiang Wanshu's face had gone pale. She suddenly stood up, scanning the crowd until she finally spotted me, her fury seemingly on the verge of taking physical form. I smiled at her, but she was completely distraught, muttering to herself that this couldn't be possible. I held back my excitement all the way to the Jiang family estate, where Jiang Wanshu had returned ahead of me and was waiting anxiously at the gate. I had deliberately instructed the coachman to drive slowly, just to watch her fret like a caged animal. The moment I stepped out of the carriage, she rushed over to me. Second sister. You tell me, how could the Song family have lost in today's competition? It shouldn't have happened. The Song family clearly should have taken first place. Second sister. I patted her shoulder, as if to comfort her. I suppose their skills simply weren't up to par. There's nothing to be done about it. She muttered to herself. I'm not as skilled as him. am not as skilled as him, that's impossible. Clearly. Last time you. Wanshu suddenly stopped and fell silent. I smiled, paid her no mind, and walked straight away. As night fell, Xiao Duo came again. I'd grown accustomed to it. Only today, he seemed a bit displeased. You had me taste that wine earlier, was it all for that Lu family brat? So he was jealous. I pinched his arm. What if I said yes? Xiao Duo smiled coldly. Then I'd feed him to the wolves and lock you up in the crown prince's mansion until the imperial decree of arranged marriage arrives. I nudged him. Come on. Let your wolves eat something normal. I have nothing to do with Lu Jinglin. If there was anything between us, it was from a past life. He pulled me into his arms. I tilted my head up and asked him, I still have some wine here. Do you want some? No. I want something else to eat. I don't have anything else. There's an orange tree in your courtyard. I smiled. All right. Wait here. I'll go pick 2 oranges for you. Earlier, Yunbin and I had picked oranges to eat, and they were so sour they made our teeth ache. Just wait, tonight I'll make that lecher Xiao Duo suffer from the sourness. I put on my outer robe and walked out into the courtyard. It was just after nightfall, and the moonlight was bright, but a stranger was standing in the courtyard. It was Wanshu, her eyes bloodshot and slightly swollen. My expression turned cold as I walked toward her. It's so late. What are you doing here? Wanshu grabbed my hand, sobbing uncontrollably. Second sister. Big brother hasn't come back. I just found out was arrested by the crown prince's men and thrown into the imperial prison. It happened right during the winemaking competition. The officers said the crown prince was poisoned at the Thousand Buddha temple earlier, and during the investigation, they discovered Big Brother had bought the poison at the black market. But how could elder brother possibly dare to poison His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? Wanshu let out a piercing scream. Struck as if by lightning, she clung tightly to my sleeve. I watched coldly from the sidelines. Indeed, he wouldn't dare poison the Crown Prince, he poisoned me. How dare Wanshu show her face here? Does she think I'm still in the dark? She continued, her eyes brimming with tears. Second sister. It's over. The Jiang family is finished. I bet all our money on the Song family, but they lost. And my eldest brother has been arrested. Second sister. What should I do? Please help me. Please help me. I know you're the most capable. Wanshu's words trailed off the moment she saw the cold expression on my face. She froze, and I brushed her hand away. Since you've done wrong, you must accept the punishment, little sister. There's nothing I can do to help. You're not going to help the Jiang family. No, that's impossible. Jiang Yuesher, you must know everything, don't you? You can't possibly not care about the Jiang family, you just hate me and Big Brother. Jiang Yuesher, what gives you the right to treat us like this? For 2 lifetimes. Why won't you help me and Big Brother? I watched her silently. Haven't I helped you? In the last life, when I discovered your affair, I only made you part ways. Your actions defied the bonds of humanity and were ultimately unacceptable to the world. I tried my best to reason with you. Did either of you listen? Jiang Chanlan was a good for nothing. I even found him a master, but he drove him away. How much effort did I put into securing him a low-level government post? You told me you'd reformed and wanted to learn the art of household management. So I taught you. You said you wanted to be the second prince's consort. I tried to dissuade you, but you wouldn't listen. So I had no choice but to comply. Yet later, you blamed the second prince for having eyes only for Shan, and blamed me for not stopping you. Given this second chance at life, instead of focusing on self-improvement, you've been busy plotting against me. Everything that's happened now is entirely your own doing. If you don't leave now, I'll have Shen Yu show you the door. I spoke casually, while Wanshu looked up in disbelief and shouted, Shen Yu. Isn't she at the brothel? The brothel. Little sister, you yourself said Shen Yu was dead. Seeing her face turn pale, I snorted derisively, said nothing more, and simply shooed her out the courtyard gate. Jiang Wanshu pounded on the door in a rage. Jiang Yuesher, I won't let you off the hook. Early the next morning, Xiao Duo slipped something onto my wrist and left. I paid it no mind, busy digging out the medical texts piled up in the house. Since I promised Shen Qingshan, I would see it through. For over a month now, I've been poring over medical texts every day, constantly refining Shen Qingshan's prescriptions. So far, things are going well. After studying the medical texts for half a day, I was feeling a bit tired, so I asked Yunbin to brew me a pot of tea. Suddenly, Xian Yu and Ling Feng rushed in. What's happened, miss? The second prince petitioned His Majesty today, requesting permission to marry Jiang Wanshu as his secondary consort. Ling Feng nodded, speaking with unusual urgency. Jiang Chanlan has been taken out of the imperial prison by the second prince, and Jiang Wanshu is on her way to the Jiang residence with guards from the second prince's mansion. Miss, something's amiss. We should leave the Jiang residence immediately. I set down my cup and shook my head. I'm afraid there's no time for that. Ling Feng, stay by my side. Xian Yue, leave through the back gate now and go to the crown prince's mansion. Xian Yue and Ling Feng exchanged a glance and did as I said. Before I could finish half a cup of tea, the courtyard gate was kicked open. A dark mass of guards parted, revealing Jiang Wanshu and Jiang Chanlan standing in the center. Smug and triumphant, Ling Feng immediately stepped in front of me, his expression stern. Jiang Yuesher, do you admit to stealing the second prince's consort's jewelry? I laughed. What did I steal from you? Isn't that necklace around your neck actually mine? Jiang Wanshu ignored me, pointing at the jade bracelet Xiao Duo had put on my wrist that morning. How dare you? You show such disrespect toward the second prince's consort, and you're still wearing the stolen goods on your wrist. Jiang Yuesher, you've forced my hand. Do you really think I can't deal with you? Obey my order. Strip this slut of her clothes. I want to see just how many of my things she's stolen. The guards of the second prince's mansion obeyed and stepped forward. Ling Feng drew his sword from its sheath, its cold steel glinting in the light. But facing so many alone, he was as helpless as a mayfly against a tree. Yunbin stepped in front of me. Who dares to move? Don't end up with no place to be buried. Jiang Wanshu burst into laughter. What are you standing there for? Attack her. It'll make you suffer every humiliation imaginable, and in the end, your bodies will be cast into a mass grave. Suddenly, a long arrow tore through the air, striking Jiang Chanlan squarely in the shoulder. Jiang Wanshu let out a startled cry and rushed to support him. Who? But to her surprise, it was Xiao Duo, leading the Imperial Guard, who had surrounded the Jiang family. Standing beside him was the second prince, his face ashen. He advanced with his sword drawn. No one dared to stop him. The tip of his blade pressed against Jiang Wanshu's forehead, causing her to fall to the ground in terror. See, Crown Prince. What do you intend to do to my crown princess? Everyone stared at me in utter astonishment. But I merely raised my wrist and spoke softly. She accused me of stealing her jade bracelet and tried to tear off my clothes. Xiao Duo hesitated not a moment. A cold gleam flashed from his long sword as he thrust it straight downward. But the second prince rushed forward to shield Jiang Wanshu, and crimson blood dripped onto the ground. Tears shimmered in Jiang Wanshu's eyes, while Xiao Duo remained expressionless. He withdrew his sword just in time, leaving only a small cut on the second prince's back. Your Royal Highness, what are you doing? Do you really intend to marry her as the second prince's secondary consort? Our father has not given his consent. The second prince slowly rose to his feet, grasping Xiao Duo's sleeve as he wept. Duo, I beg you, spare Jiang Wanshu's life. In this world, she is the only one who knows how to treat Qingshan. I'm afraid Qingshan won't be able to wait. Duo, I beg you, let father punish me if he must. Let me forfeit my title as a prince. I only want to save Qingshan. Hearing this, a smug smile spread across Jiang Wanshu's face. But I wasn't worried. Just as I'd guessed, the second prince was offering Jiang Wanshu the position of secondary consort solely for Shen Qingshan's sake. In my previous life, the second prince spent his entire life searching for renowned physicians. He must have found a solution. And since Jiang Wanshu had always been by his side, she naturally knew it as well. I stood up and walked toward the second prince. Your Highness, if this is for Miss Shen's sake, perhaps I can be of assistance. Jiang Wanshu, who had fallen to the ground, glared at me fiercely. You can't. Jiang Yuesher, do you really think you're all-powerful? Ignoring her, I turned to the second prince. Your Highness, Miss Qingshan's complexion has improved significantly lately. Hasn't she told you that someone prescribed her a new remedy? The second prince's expression softened slightly. I continued. Hey race, what will do? Let me try for a month. If it doesn't work, then bring Jiang Wanshu back. The second prince was about to say something, but Xiao Duo spoke coldly. My royal brother, there's no need to worry. As long as the person is still alive, what's there to fear? Could it be you're worried my men won't be able to extract the truth? Everyone fell silent. After all, Xiao Duo had renowned officials under his command, and their methods were notoriously ruthless. There was no spy they couldn't interrogate. Very well. The second prince finally agreed. Jiang Wanshu was overcome with despair. Standing frozen in place, Jiang Chang'an, tears and snot streaming down his face, came over to beg for mercy. Yuesher, are you really going to harm your own brother? We're blood relatives. Please spare me. Want you? Don't you value the Jiang family's reputation above all else? If you kill me, you'll be condemned by the masses. I smiled and looked down. If only you thought that way when you were plotting against me. You too won't bring shame upon the Jiang family. You'll simply die of illness, quietly and unnoticed. Once the matter was settled, Xiao Duo took me to the emperor to request an imperial decree for our marriage. You should move into the crown prince's residence sooner rather than later, to avoid constantly being targeted by schemers. I tapped his forehead. Could they really hurt me? But it would break my heart. The evening glow bathed Xiao Duo's face in a warm light. He was handsome and dignified, his features relaxed yet filled with deep affection. I suddenly recalled my past life. You had never formally met then. Yet now we had become a pair of lovebirds. I embraced him. All right. I'll be your crown princess. The end.